Hello everyone in cyber world, welcome back to another video. I'm Richard and I appear to be alone, but this is our channel we call Poor Man's DIY. The reason that I'm alone today is because I'm going to be showing you a little hobby that I do on my own. So I guess it's kind of a DIY craft project. What I'm going to be showing you is the making of 3D metal models. This is an example of one. These models come in these really thin packages. They're thin sheets of metal that have the pieces printed out on them, and we're going to show you how you actually make that. I have made a video a long time ago that kind of gave a general idea of it, but it was years ago and the quality of that was pretty bad. Recently I posted some pictures on our other social media, and I've gotten some questions and some comments about it, and I thought, you know what, let's go ahead and do this video and do it right. So this time I'm going to actually show you how I make these models, and I'm aware that there's probably a bunch of people out there that do a much better job. I know that even in model airplane building, people go through great lengths to sand things down so they're just perfect. They make sure the glue matches and that all the pieces are just impeccable. And I'm sure there are some 3D model makers that do that as well, and they may even have special tools that help them to shape the parts. In my case, I just do it for fun. It has worked out really well during the COVID lockdown. When you have nothing to do, this was perfect time for me to just sit in front of the bench, bring out whatever I can. I find tools or any objects in the house that will help me to shape those. So today I'm going to show you how I do this, and hopefully it'll come out well. So let's get into this. Before we begin, what exactly is a 3D metal model? Let me show you here. So this is, this is what comes inside a metal model along with instructions. In this particular build that we're going to be working on today, I have 2 sheets of these, and these are the parts. They're all flat, 2-dimensional objects, but we are going to be using different objects that we can find in accordance with the instructions, and we're going to kind of bend them into the shapes that they need to be and then assemble them. And we'll show you how we do that. One of the reasons that I'm actually building this is because Santa Claus was quite good to me this past Christmas, and so I got several of these from...
Hello everyone, aka Mini Poor Man.
And aka Mr. Mini Poor Man.
And aka Baby Poor Man. The gift was from us to Grandpa. If you like this video, please give it a
thumbs up!
And hit the subscribe button down below.
Smash that like button.
Have a blessed day.
From Mini Poor Man and the wonderful family. Now let me give you a little information before you get started on this model. When working on these tools, they have kits of tools that you can purchase to use. And they usually come in these particular 3 items here. I'm going to go ahead and put a link in the description below. They're quite inexpensive, but they are extremely useful, if not mandatory, for use with 3D metal models. And to give you a little information on these, very first one is simply a clipper. What this does is it allows you to cut things. You don't have to cut a lot with the model itself. All this is, that I ever use this for, is to cut the model out from the sheet itself. There's going to be some triangles that hold the pieces onto the sheet, a simple clip of a few of them, and the piece comes out. And that's all I end up using this for. I don't recall ever having to cut anything. Every piece that's on the sheet is all pre-cut and ready to go. So this is just to disassemble it from the sheet. Now, these 2 wonderful things here appear to be just regular pliers. But the difference here is they don't have any teeth on the inside. These are just very flat. Now, what are these used for? These things can be used for by pinching it. If something has a bend in it, you can squeeze it back flat. It doesn't have any teeth, so it doesn't cause any damage to this. But even though it doesn't have teeth, it grips quite well, but you don't need a tremendous amount of strength with these things. This one here allows to make squares And this one here is more rounded, so it allows you to do some rounded shaping with the tool itself. You're going to be using these things to twist and bend tabs that are used to connect pieces together. And we'll show you exactly how we do that later on. So let's get started. For those of you who are possibly along the same age as I am, you will find another tool that's going to come in real handy, and that is a magnifying glass. Now, we will show you how much this helps, because with this we will be able to zoom in much quicker, or much easier to see the tabs and the tiny pieces and work with them. Now, to actually cut this out, you're going to find that these have it has triangles that actually aren't part of the model itself. All they are is what just holds it together on this particular sheet. So all you're going to be doing here is clipping those off. There's one, here's another one right here, and oh, there's one up top. Wait, where'd it go? Oh, there it is. And, oh. All right, so this is the part. Now here's what I was talking about earlier. These little tiny tabs here at some point are going to be used to insert into holes such as this onto another piece, and once the tab is inserted, you have a couple options. One, you can bend it over, or two, you can actually grab a hold of it and twist it 90 degrees, and that'll keep it from sliding back out the hole. The only problem with the twisting part is that it will always be sticking up. Is it really noticeable? Nah, but sometimes I just think it's cleaner if you can manage to fold it over and pinch it down and hold it tight that way. Unfortunately, you will probably run into many times where the pinch and twist is going to be much more efficient, or it may be the only option that you have available. So in this particular piece we're going to be working on, it shows here what it looks like, and it shows how it's going to end up looking. And in here, you're going to have to take this flat piece here, and eventually it's going to become rounded for the top of the helmet. Now, how are we going to do that? Well, you could kind of bend it with your fingers or whatever the best you can, or you can find anything that you might happen to have handy that has a round shape that you can kind of use to bend this around. Now, and according to the instructions, the first thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to bend this portion down. Now, we could just try to bend this, but the problem is the rest of this will bend along with it. So we want to make sure that we keep this other side flat so that we can actually bend it. Okay. And now, just like the instructions, we have a bend. But now we're going to actually try and make that round. So little by little, we're just going to apply this and press it along this round end of the screwdriver to try and get it into shape. Now, I believe I've seen some tools out there with tiny hammers, or I imagine you could do that, but you will also can damage the texture of this particular piece. So that's an option, but I choose just to mold this over and over. Now in this particular case, I didn't get it fully to the shape that I need it, but that's okay. We're just going to use a smaller curved shape until we get it to how we want it. Now, here's where the fun begins. As you can see, well, let's see if we can point this out. Right here is a tiny little tab, and on the other side is the slot that it has to go through. So we need to get this in here, and although the instructions don't always point this out, you will probably find it a little bit easier. I probably should have bent this up prior to shaping it, and now we can work on this. In this particular case, I'm going to just bend it over. Okay, so you can probably see that I've kind of mangled this up as I was trying to make the curve part of the helmet. And so now we need to fix this. The good thing about this is because it is really, I guess, flimsy metal, it's just a matter of taking these particular plier, tweezer, pinchers, thingamabobs, and just squeezing it flat again. Straighten everything out. And there you have it. Everything is nice shaped. And this kind of came out coned. So I think I want to do some adjustments on this by maybe shaping it a little more of a round shape. That actually isn't too bad. We're going to go with that. Now, to give you an idea on the scale of this, this is a penny, and this is the mask we just worked on. And next, we're going to be adding nose plates, which are really tiny. Okay, so I found the nose piece, which is right there, and it's super tiny. So we're going to have to figure out how to be able to cut this out. And the only way to do that is with the help of magnification, which is probably not going to come out too well on camera, but all right. And ooh, wow. Okay. So this is the nose piece that we have to connect next. Sometimes you have to be careful when working with these pieces. Some of these pieces have a textured side and an untextured side, and let me see if we can give you an example. Such as this. This side has a textured feel and even has a little bit of kanji, Japanese characteristics written on it, where the back side is just smooth flat. Reason for it is because this is going to end up being on the inside where you can't see, so they don't need this. And this is the textured side that will give it a little bit of a fabric look. The reason this is important is because if you put the shiny side on the outside, obviously it's not going to look as good and the parts might not fit. Keep in mind, sometimes these instructions I have run into, just about every one of them has one flaw that's incorrect. They may have updated the puzzle, the parts numbers don't match, or something on the instructions don't explain how the fabric goes on the inside or the outside, and you try and work it out in your mind, but by the time you put it together, it turned out it was the other way around, and you have to gently take everything apart. This particular item doesn't seem to have an inside or an outside, so it's not going to be seen. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to be making a box out of this along the seams. Now, you can start from one end and work to the other end, but I have found it to be easier to work starting from the seam in the middle. Give it a 90-degree bend, and then work on the one on the outside. Give it a 90-degree bend, and then on the opposite side, and give it a bend as well. Now the thing about this is, don't try and make it perfect on the first fold. Just bend it as close as possible, and then you make your adjustments afterwards. And allow the tools to do the work. And make it square. Now this one may be a little bit confusing, but this type of tab, you might be able to see that there's actually two different levels. The tip is actually the tab. The bottom half is nothing more than a spacer. And by bending this up, what this will do is the tip will go into the slot, but the rest of this will not lay flat up against the other surface. In this particular case, here, it won't lay flat up against this, so we don't have to worry about these tabs that came through before. There'll be a spacer on there, so there's enough room for this to fit in. Okay, in this particular case, this is going to be going as the cover around the shin. I guess you'd call it a shin guard. Yeah, what do I know? It has to be round. So what tools can I use? Another drill bit. And we have a shin guard. Wait. I'm sorry to have to do this, but it turns out I had far too much footage for just one video. So the rest of this is going to have to be finished up next week in part 2. So until then, bye-bye.